It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stone to face, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness.
Hey, welcome to Baseball 101. We have a special guest today. Well, I guess every guest is special. They kind of have to be to come talk to me. But anyway, special in a different sort of way. We have a former Major League Baseball player. You're a former Major Leaguer. It's like a big deal.
It's true, yeah.
I feel special just sitting next to him. I guess I should tell you who he is in case you don't know from his baseball card, which, by the way, his baseball card is actually worth a little bit, mostly because it's Corbin Burns' baseball card as well.
Good player.
Both on, he's still good.
Yeah.
You would be, but you're just not as, anyway. Young? You're not as young as him. We'll go young. Is he the same age?
Yeah, we'll just name that the reason why I'm here and he's not, sure.
Anyway, this is Nate Orf. For those that still, I don't know who the guy is. So Nate, I coached Nate's. He graduated in 2008 from Francis Howell, which I still, and I know there's some that they get a little crabby about it, but 2008 was the best team I've ever coached. Any argument?
No, we knew how to win, and we won often with every player in the lineup and every pitcher we had, I'd say. It's a good combo.
Nate agrees. Best team in Howell history is 2008, and I would even go a step further and say 2008 was the best season of high school baseball I've seen, talent-wise. Every school was unbelievable. There were some great athletes. So those that were around in 2008, you got to see some good baseball, especially from that team. But we've been talking on Baseball 101. There's a lot of different paths to kind of get I don't know why I say a lot today. I'm umming.
A lot of filler words today. You nervous?
I'm nervous.
You're a big guest in here?
I am. It's like get an autograph later. Celebrity situation. I almost said again. And we're going to move along.
I'll help you with your whole filler situation as we go here.
That.
Yeah.
Thanks. I can be taught.
Yep.
Nate graduated in 2008. This is going to shock some of you. He ended up in the big leagues and the major leagues for Milwaukee and Oakland. But his path to get there is completely different than most of you probably are thinking it would go. I mean, he played, I know it's going to be shocking to some of you, he actually played freshman or now what we call C-team baseball as a freshman. And you survived.
Had a great time. Played with my friends, won a lot of games. I think we lost one.
So you had fun, got to play and develop?
Yeah.
Wow. It's a goal. So if you're on the C team, you're on freshman baseball, and you're like, I'm better than this. Understand, I played freshman baseball. I got drafted. He played freshman baseball. He made to the major league. So don't get all caught up in, I'm better than this, because, look, you can learn from every level you're at, every coach you have. So he played football. He played baseball. He didn't start on varsity till your junior year. I'll skip over the sophomore year running situation.
Yeah, we'll go straight to junior year.
Well,
yeah.
Actually,
successful junior year. Yeah.
He did run on varsity for us as a courtesy runner. Stellar performance. I think he set really records. Bad. It's still a record.
It has to be. That'll never break. No one will ever get that many opportunities to fail again.
No, you were special. Nate, we use as a courtesy runner or pinch runner in situations, as we do with some JV guys. They'll come up and get some time on varsity. So we put Nate out there, and he quickly got picked off. So we tried again. The next game,
I was fast.
He ran well.
Yeah.
Especially for a catcher. But
yeah, for a catcher.
He got picked off the first, was it 3-4 times you were put on base?
Yeah, I think it was 5 out of 6.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So we kept putting him out there. He kept getting picked off. It was fun to watch. It was like, how is he going to get picked off this time? It was like you were creative.
Yeah.
Picked off righties, lefties.
Catchers,
back picks.
Got me. Yeah.
So anyway, he wasn't a standout performer is what I'm saying. He was good. He was a very good high school baseball player. He was undersized. He's not 6'2", 5'7".
My chair is low.
Is it? That's a problem.
Yeah.
How tall are you? 5'8"-ish?
5'9".
5. We'll go 5'9".
5'9". There's a roster out there that might be taller.
Some rosters he might be 6 foot, but I promise you, he's not really tall or really big. But I'm saying nothing nice, but I'm going somewhere with it. So he started as a catcher for us for his junior and senior year, and honestly, in all the years that I've coached, he's the best catcher I saw as a high school, especially defensively. I mean, you backpicked and threw out more runners than anyone I saw. I don't know if I ever told you. I asked my brother, who's the toughest hitter to get out that he's ever seen in the GAC. He said you.
I believe it. That was
Well, that's
a lot
good.
of
You
pride
should believe
in
it.
yeah, being a tough out.
And you were.
I think I struck out. Do you remember that? I think I struck out like 4 times.
Yeah.
Senior year.
The last game
Something
was
like that.
the last game was the only game you didn't have a hit, right?
Yeah,
We're not going to discuss the last game.
that was a big one. Probably could have used a couple.
State championship game. We're the best team in the state by far. We had some injuries. Ball lost in the lights, and we ended up losing 3-2 to a good Ozark team, but we were clearly better. Interesting game. Very memorable game.
Yeah.
Fun game. Not fun. I didn't enjoy it that much. But now, as far as recruiting, he signed at the baseball powerhouse of University of Illinois, Chicago. Not the Illini. It was UIC, the Flames.
Mm-hmm.
The Flames. So if you didn't know, you learned something already. UIC are the Flames. So clearly that's not where most people would probably go to further their baseball path, but you did.
Yeah.
And it turned out well. You did well as a freshman, did well as a sophomore. And then he was playing in the summer. I got a phone call, was it late July?
Yeah, 3 weeks before school.
Yeah.
So it had to be,
Mid to late July. Nate calls me. I was like, I think I'm transferring. I'm like, well, this is interesting. Because at the time, if you transferred, you had to sit out a year, which was a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't want to sit out. So he decided to transfer to Baylor as a walk-on. Went down there and had some arm problems and ended up in the outfield. Correct?
Yep.
So mostly outfielder there.
Arm surgery. Had to DH my redshirt junior year. So the first year I played there, I just DH'd. 'Cause the elbow, and then outfield senior year, still recovering from Tommy John. So
you went from
could
catcher.
barely throw my senior year, but
You don't need to.
nah. Get hit?
If you can hit, they'll find a spot for you. I told you that in high
That-
school?
Yep.
If you
That
can
one,
hit.
that one kind of stuck with me forever there.
And that's the versatility, which we'll get to in a little bit. But just to finish this process, and you see the path, he ended up in the outfield at Baylor. They were number 1 in the nation for a while. Max Muncy was on the team and some other great players, tremendous team. And then there were, I brought this up before, and I don't know if you remember, but from that team, there were 6 guys from that Baylor team that were drafted. In the draft, your senior year, there were 1,238 players that were drafted. Nate was not drafted. So he signed a free agent deal with the Milwaukee Brewers as an infielder. Pretty much.
Yeah. Yep.
So he went from catcher to outfield to infield. So versatility, good thing, being an athlete, which we're going to come back to in a little bit. But when you start looking at your path and you think your path's going to be one thing, just understand, like, there's a lot of ways to get where you want to go. Like that, I don't think you would have put the plan together of UIC, Baylor, and then free agents sign.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I could look back and say what of my journey, what would have been the ideal way to go about it, I would say huge freshman year, right? Get on the map. And then I had scouts for the first time ever my sophomore fall saying, keep it up. We like the way you swing the bat and control at bats. And it was like, great. That would have been a good time to make a move to infield and, play the old, you're out in 3 years and you're in the big leagues and you're have a quick journey to the, but that's not how it went.
No, you didn't.
That wasn't me.
You didn't.
I don't like it easy. I don't know
No.
why. It's not good.
You're not one of those, let's take the easy path.
Easy would have been a lot easier.
It would have been, but you wouldn't have enjoyed it or appreciated it.
Or learned nearly as much.
So the one thing I will say about Nate, when I look at athletes and we talk about like successful athletes, to me, Nate is the most successful athlete that I've ever seen, because my definition of success is really how close to the ceiling did you get. of your potential, did you live up to it? And of all the players I've ever coached, I can't think of another one that got as much out of what you had been given as you. Like, it's impressive that, not to be dumb, we'll call it 5'9", 170 something pounds, ends up in the major leagues. Like, it is really difficult to make it through the minor leagues when you're a top prospect, much less undrafted. So the thing I'm going to talk to Nate about, hopefully you can take a lot from this, because it's not coming from a place of something that he saw or what. Like, he experienced this. He learned how to take what he had been given. And even though he was overlooked, like, there in high school, there were other players that were D1 prospects, and he was overlooked then. He was overlooked recruiting. He was overlooked in the draft. But he found ways to separate himself. And that's the thing I always appreciate about watching. Like, you didn't take the easy way. Ever. Like, you were very much, what's the difficult path? I'm going that way.
Yeah. Not recommended? I don't know.
It's not for everyone.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
No, it's definitely not, because the mindset you have to have is a little different. But
yeah, I'm trying to share some of that with your son, and that's been an interesting journey, hasn't it? Yeah. Yes, it has.
So the nice part, or the guys that I've coached, a lot of them have come back and helped my son kind of go through this process. And Nate's now teaching infield stuff and hitting, and we'll kind of get to that a little bit later. But, I mean, the things, to me, what makes you a great coach is it didn't come easy to you. Like, you had to seek out coaching. You had to seek out every little thing to get the most out of your body. So when you teach hitting, I think you see things, the details that others don't. And that's why you're the only person I trusted my son to go to even work on the swing. Because when I went from, I knew what I was talking about, to just his dad, and he looked at me like I was stupid. Luckily, Nate was here, because Nate and my son speak the same language, which I don't even understand it, but it works for you guys. And
yeah, I feel bad for the kid in the cage with us sometimes, you know?
Oh, there's times I hear you say it's whatever.
Yeah.
It's effective. And anyone out there looking to, like, get some hitting lessons, I'm not because I know him. I've worked with a lot of guys. Like, Nate's the best hitting guy that I've seen in this area by far. No offense to other guys, but just because of his journey, his experience, guys he's worked with, things he's done, by far, he's the best. That's why I trust my son with him. But we'll come back to coaching here in a minute. But I think, and that's what I just want to give the background so people understood, your path was not easy. I think we've established that. So as you went up from, like, high school and college, and then even professionally, we've talked before, like, the talent gap gets smaller and smaller, and you have to find ways to separate yourself, and especially when you've been overlooked. Like, what were some of the things that you tried to really focus on to stand out or separate yourself from the other guys within, whether it's college or professionally, wherever?
I think the big thing is being a winner, you know, and that's what, like, nowadays, if someone says, like, who do you want to win the World Series? I'm like, man, I like watching winning teams win, you know? So
yeah, watching
the Dodgers win the way they did this year was special. Same with the Rangers last year. Just I love when winning's priority, and when it happens top down in an organization, and you get to see the game played at a level that it's played at the last couple of years in the World Series by winning teams, it's special, right? So I've always liked winning. I've always liked competing. You know, I think a couple older brothers and, you know, old school, play with your neighbors in the yard and compete, and you know, being an underdog kind of is the role that I've carried from the time I was 2 years old to, you know,
embrace it, because you're the youngest and smallest.
Yep. So, yeah, I think winning, being a competitor, all that stuff is priority in all of that.
So you're not a fan for the trophy for 4th or 5th place anymore?
No.
You actually?
No, I'm not. But I am a fan of kids and everyone having fun and a good experience while participating in sport. That's a huge thing I'm a fan of.
Fun, I'm all about.
Yes.
I mean, but to me, winning, when you win, you deserve to be celebrated, trophy, whatever.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
But if you don't, like we talk about, like, snow cones are fine. Like, runner-up, you get a snow cone. You don't need a trophy. You still get something. Just my opinion, we need to be higher on snow cones.
Yeah. 3rd and 4th place
Third and fourth.
No snow cone.
I don't know.
I don't
know where
so.
the cutoff on the snow cones are.
Depends how old they are.
Ice cream? Do we go? Anyway, we'll get back to that. So winning, obviously, but as a player, I think that's where club baseball was always watching it was a struggle for me because club baseball has turned into more of a showcase situation. Like you don't learn to win, or winning's not really an emphasis in the summer anymore. It's more high school. You're trying to win the state championship, and you're learning kind of team concepts like bunting, stealing bases, fundamentals. And in the summer, it's like you go out and showcase. But to me, I believe winning is essential. Like learning how to win, being part of a winning program, having a winner's mindset, whether it's the spring or summer, should still be part of any team.
I think that's all that matters, right? And I think, who's to blame the kids? They're being led by somebody, and the system is the way it is now. And that's, if I was a kid coming up and I have Instagram and I can see these guys in whatever, Atlanta hitting balls 105 mile per hour exit velo, then I'm going to go to the cage trying to do that. And when I hit 82 as a junior, I'm going to feel like I'm the worst player in the world. But the reality of a winning player is that just doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter at all, and that gives no credit to the player who competes every at bat, can square up the ball more than the next guy and win more games, and that guy's he's gonna win in the end no matter what, and give him 5 more years of play and develop, and by senior year in college, who knows where he can be, and that's the system is the way it is, and I feel bad for kids that it is like that now, because you miss out on some of the beauty of details of winning with teammates and friends, and that being the priority. And my summer team I got to play with back in the day with Rick Strickland and the St. Louis Pirates was one of the best teams I ever played on.
That team was loaded.
And yeah, guys still playing in the big leagues, and playing big leaguers off of that team, and kids drafted, and just top talent in the St. Louis area, at that time. And but we went out and we played and we won everywhere, all around the country, and we won. And so to think that there's kids playing on a select team or something and traveling around and not winning, I think priority is to win. So I think you should be playing at a level where you can do that. Otherwise, we're kind of missing out on the whole point of sport, in my opinion. So
you can tell that's no, but you clearly winning is what you did well. Like you weren't a showcase player. You weren't 6'2". You didn't have 110 exit velo. That's why you were overlooked all along. But eventually, someone appreciated it, and it's just. You can hear your background comes through like well, you win, and that's what you always focus on, doing the things you need to win. And I agree with you. I would rather have guys that are winners, especially if I'm a college coach. I want a guy that understands how to win, and every team they're on, they win, over a guy that just has great metrics.
Yeah.
But I'm not a huge metrics fan. They're fun and whatever.
I look at it as what's, the reality of it. What's more fulfilling for kids? What's more fulfilling for players? It's going to be more fulfilling when you have to work for wins and you win and then you get rewarded. At the end of the day, that's how our reward systems are built within us, right? It is the hard work paying off and then being able to win. And then it's what's the whole point of sport? It's not for everyone to make it to the big leagues. Otherwise, there wouldn't be sport, because there's only, I don't know, you might have a percentage number or something on there, but it's pretty much impossible for everybody. And then, if you get to make it, I think it's 18,000 or 14,000, somewhere in there. Like under 20,000 have ever played in the major leagues, right?
Yeah, it's a
and
small
how many
number.
thousand of kids you think are playing baseball within 15 miles of us right now?
Well, we talked about it. There's only 87 high school kids that signed last year.
Yeah.
Of 500,000 kids that were playing, 87 signed.
Yeah, so to me, it's, what's more fulfilling is working hard to win, and then what's going to help set kids up better for when baseball doesn't work out, because even if it does, the career's going to end. Mine ended at 30. It still ended, so, who cares about exit velo, training, overtraining on a specific niche skill when what really is going to make help add to the talent is how much they can hold in other areas of life and the heightened instincts in other aspects. And that's where I think the system's a little off right now. And that's why I'm kind of in it and enjoy doing it the way that I do it, which is a little, it's a little different, but like I have kids come and work out at 4:30 in the morning during the week and go to school, and not because I want them to even make sure they get their lift in. I'm there to help them, and I have their workout programs built, and I am really sharing them everything I know in that world that I would have done in my off season to help maximize muscle growth and strength and baseball performance and strength in all the right places. Bigger than that is the discipline to wake up and be there at 5:30 in the morning every day, because that takes going to bed on time, and some certain disciplines that are going to apply from the second they graduate high school on. And that's the way that I think youth sports should be kind of built is what's going to help these kids have the best chance of success down the road, right? Mm-hmm. And then, like, obviously if you catch a kid with talent, and talent's only half of it, talent and timing, super good luck and all these things, and that'd be great, good for them. But I think once you sell out on the proper process, some of that stuff kind of goes to the back seat anyways.
In that process, and I know from playing at the levels I did, I know we've talked about it before, but trying to get kids at a younger age to understand, to enjoy or buy into a process is more important than worrying about the results. Like getting up and being disciplined, getting up and working out, getting up and doing those things, because if you can focus on the process, that's controllable. The results sometimes aren't going to come. I don't care how much you put in the work, sometimes you're going 0 for 4. And I think those skills are skills I think we underestimate the importance of teaching. And our system, the way, or at least the baseball system, the way it's set up now, is not really emphasizing those things.
Yeah.
And that's...
Yeah, I think, work with a lot of different ages and caliber and grades of hitters, from, 7 years old to JUCO All-Americans and up, and professional athletes. And, you hear a guy has an anger issue or something like that, or this guy, he can't control himself. And he's a really good player. And I'm in the cage with him for one day, and he gets super frustrated after, 4 bad swings in a row at some point, and loses, steps out, and just out of control. And it's like, he doesn't have a plan, a process. Otherwise you wouldn't be that upset, right? So that's my job in the cage with a guy. And I'm a very talented hitter that working with for a couple months, and he's put out in game, and he can really hit. He's going to moving on to the next step, pretty big one for him next year. So, but right away it was clear that he didn't have an understanding of or awareness of what it felt like when he was off, when he was losing control. There's no process to get back into control. There was no understanding. If a hitting process is A to Z, he had about A and B, which was hit the ball, and when it's not going good, try to hit the ball better, and no plan for it when it unraveled. And that's
and for hitters and a lot of more talented high school guys, or even whatever, when you're talented, a lot of times you don't even realize you need that plan. You don't need a reset plan, because you can out talent the other team or out talent the other pitcher. College you can't do that. Professionally, I don't know who you're kidding to do that, but So when did you start learning kind of that process of resetting? Because obviously you went through a lot of different levels, had a lot of different coaches. I mean, was there someone that kind of pulled you aside and saw, because you were a perfectionist when it came to hitting, like you wanted, I know how you were, and I saw you grow over time, and I'm curious, like, when did that start for you to realize, okay, I can't be so bought into the results part of it?
Yeah, I think obviously each step along the way, there's steps that that stuck out or kind of got you to the next level of
Just
my
the
player,
natural
right?
growth.
Yeah. One of the glaring ones for me, kind of a turning point, was my freshman year in college. I think I was 0 for my first like 3 weeks, and just playing Texas, Alabama, Vanderbilt. These schools that, growing up in New Melle, Missouri, I never envisioned playing on that stage. And then there you are facing future major leaguers and just totally overmatched. And I remember I had a real wide stance, no like leg kick. I kind of had taken my high school swing had been kind of shut down to like, you have to do it this way. Like if you can't have balance, then you can't even expand what you're doing in the box, right? So really just like tamed me down, essentially stole all my energy. I didn't see it at that time,
Just
but like
a very rigid approach.
And just try to make contact with the ball. And here I am like 0 for, and I'm in Vanderbilt's cage before the game, just getting some swings in on my own. And I'm like, you know what? Like, screw this. I'm gonna do what I did in high school, right? Because
you were successful.
So I kind of just closed my stance up a little bit and did a little leg kick, and essentially just found some freedom in who I was, and my player started to show right away. And I think hit 429 on the year or something, freshman All-American, and that's after again
going 0 for 3 weeks and still finishing at 430 is impressive.
Yeah, I got a lot of hits.
Yeah.
So for me, that was always something that I used for the rest of my career. Like I hit in high school, which to me was a reminder of, hey, be yourself, right? That was a huge one, right? Another turning point for me came in about 2016, hitting with my guy Rick Strickland. When he said, he's like, what are they telling you? Because at this point I'd already had quite a bit of success, played in the Arizona Fall League, hit me and Ty actually looked at the other day. I hit like 464 or something like that.
Not bad.
Yeah, I thought it was 360. I've been saying 360 something for a while because
you're undercutting yourself. Right
there. It was 4. I raked.
If you don't, Arizona Fall League's the top prospects. Like in minor league baseball, the ones that are kind of on the cusp. So I mean, to hit 400 any level is impressive, but hitting it, that's remarkable.
Yeah, I raked. Yeah, that was a good time, I guess. Long
Good
time
for
ago.
you.
Yeah, I don't really remember it clearly. So, get done with that. Come hitting with Rick, and he's like, what are they telling you? And I'm like, they're saying keep doing what you're doing, right? At the time, I'm hitting 2 homers a year. That was kind of my really every year from freshman year in high school to
accidentally
this
catch
season.
a couple. And
but my game was always small. Everyone, I was a smaller player. They, kind of keep me in the box. The small line drive over the second baseman's head was my game. Little line drives up the middle, singles, try to steal. That was kind of the box that I was put in until Rick was like, you have enough power to drive the ball, right? And I was like, no. And at the, he had the numbers to show that I could hit a ball 95 plus. And he's like, well, if you, at that exit velo, you can drive it to the gaps, hit more doubles, and catch a ball,
do more damage.
Yeah, and do more damage. So really, from that moment on, I went into the next year, ready to just really open myself up and try to crush the baseball and drive them. And I think I had my OPS that year. It was my best year by far. It was right around 1,000 or maybe right around. I don't remember exactly, but. Hit I think like 7 homers the last two months of the year. Like really went on a rip there. Just tons of doubles and triples, but really drove the ball. So having somebody allow me to open up and be myself as a player, and some confidence to swing for it and go for it and be more aggressive and let it rip. And that, learning when to take shots. And that's kind of, as you get farther along, it's more of a chess match, right? Like, when do you take your shot to hit the homer? Is it 2 outs and a 2-0 count? Like, that's a good time to drive the ball, right? Because a single is going to take 2 more singles to get you home anyway. So I would say that day in Vanderbilt when I decided to just hit like myself, right? That was a huge one. And then the day with Rick, where I got to open up my power, was another big one. And then from there, it's kind of just little steps and continued growth and getting to be around some of the best hitters in the world and watch them work and work with some of the best hitting guys out there, in the world and hear their pieces and take little bits from there. And
what you're saying, and I've seen it, and it's one of the things I think sets you apart, but you can go to a hitting coach, you can go to a hitting facility, and they have a system in place, sort of like when you got to college of like, hey, you have to hit this way. You have to balance, and you have to and within those systems, not that every system's flawed or wrong, but it takes away, Jerry Daniels had that conversation, it takes away the athleticism, the things that make you unique, the way your body moves, the way what you can do if you shrink it down to a system. And that's where I think most hitting coaches that I've been around are not good at being able to look at someone's ability, look at how they swing, how they move, and then develop what they do, refine what they do, instead of being like, oh, well, everyone's going to hit this way, everyone needs to do these things. To me, that's the difference between an average hitting coach and elite, and there just aren't a lot of guys, because to do what you're talking about doing, coaching that way, you have to have a lot of experience. Like there's no way to coach from that standpoint unless you've been coached like that.
Yep.
Like for Rick Strickland to say that to you, and other guys that you've had go along, they're like, hey, just be yourself.
Yeah.
If yourself's not enough, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, that even rings true to, Craig Wallenbrock's his name. He's a, top hitting consultant out there, and, Dodgers hire him every year, and he helps them out and helps develop their guys. And he's worked with guys from Michael Young to, he's a guy who changed JD Martinez's swing. And so he's a world-class guy. When I hit with him, there was all-stars before me, all-stars after, right? Like that's just a guy that kind of a go-to guy for his experience. And where I'm at now in my coaching career, looking back at him, I'm like, I think he's missing some things because of his lack of experience as a player himself. Really, yeah. He's a unreal hitting coach, and he brings a lot to the table for helping hitters move better and get set up better and all of these things. But it's like knowing what I know now. There's some things he's missing, and when I get with a player, my priority is I want to get to the hitter's best swing more often, and then I want to make the swing when they miss more productive. And I don't, I'll help guys, or I'll adjust guys in ways that I think can help and try different things with them. But I have a college hitter right now that I don't agree with necessarily his setup, the way he moves, any of this. And I think he would be fine to tell you the same. But working with him to get him to be comfortable with who he is and move to his best more often is my priority. And that doesn't change anything. We have a great working relationship and environment in there, and he's getting better and better and more consistent and understanding his process. And for me too, I'm understanding his process better, because I know for a fact if I fully change his swing and setup and he doesn't look like the same guy, it's just not going to work, right? So, yeah.
And I think comfort to me is a big part of it.
Yep.
There's physically comfortable, which hitters just doing it enough will get comfortable. But I think that the difference, or the biggest hurdle to get over, is to be able to take 2 or 3 bad swings in a row and know how to step back and mentally get back to a place. Because for what I always found is the thing that got in the way of my best swing was my last swing. And not having a plan to kind of overcome that last swing or the last AB or the last whatever, my slump, not having a plan out of it really hindered me moving forward. I couldn't refine what I was doing because I was thinking about what I did.
Yep.
So like you're talking about with the one hitter that has kind of struggled with getting frustrated after 2 or 3, like what do you recommend for younger hitters when they start not barreling balls consistently the way they want to, and they start to get frustrated? Like, is there something you teach your hitters to do? Or
yeah, I mean, there's there's a checklist, right? It's what the guy needs, and comes to mind one of the top players in the area. The other day was having a really tough session, right? And I stopped, and we'd worked on some adjustments that had worked in the past, and gone through certain cues that have helped iron him right out, right? And kind of nothing's working. And I stopped him and I said, "When's the last time you thought about the baseball?" And he's like, "Yeah, I haven't really been thinking about the baseball. He said, I've been thinking about mechanics and my body and all that stuff." I'm like, all right, well, there you go. So the way I like to see that, Brett Graves in the house, everybody shout out. Sign up for the PCDL and P3 registration's open. We're top world-class pitching training. If you need any help with arm care, pitching programming, call us at our number.
Yes.
Anyways.
Or you can go back and watch the podcast we had with Brett Graves from 2 weeks ago, which was spectacular.
Of course.
So the cues, checklist. Sorry, left turn.
So one of the biggest things, right, is take guys out of themselves, right? So go to external thoughts instead of the internal battles that you face. So I like the external thought. Typically, a cue is going to work pretty much every time is focus on the ball, right? Focus on the ball. Sounds simple. I like to say have a target on your barrel where you know what it is. Get real familiar with that target, and then I like a certain ball positioning or visualization cues for guys that we talk about pretty regularly to help guys just see the barrel run in the ball, right? And then to further the ability to get the energy moving in the right direction, and have an external cue where you want the ball to go as well. So I like to really have external thoughts, cues to put the energy moving in the right direction from the start, and then a target for you to get the barrel to, and really simplify all the million things that are typically going on in the mind when things aren't going well. Simplify it to those 2 or 3 concepts that really are built to allow freedom for the body to operate as it needs to.
So as you're trying to learn cues, simplifying, so how much like T work do you do so they can get those cues down before the ball starts moving? Do you still use T work?
I use T, yeah. Probably a little less now than I used to, and that's one of the things that's going to depend on the guy. Some guys, I've hit with a guy on the tee for 40 minutes because if I know that if he can just feel it one time what we're trying to get to, that the rest of his career will move a little different, right? And that's just on, it just depends per guy. So typically I like to have a little tee routine in there. I do have a guy that doesn't like tee at all,
but you're not starting when you're simplifying and you're trying to learn cues, learn swing. You're not starting off live pitching. Like you're trying to controlled, whether it's front toss, side toss, whatever it is, so that you can get a better feel. Because like seeing you teach, you're trying to get them to feel it, and I think that's the toughest thing as a coach is that feel piece, because you can see it and know that's a little off. Their body's not moving the way you want to do it. So you have to control the ball, control placement, so you can create an environment so their body can be free enough to get the feel, correct?
Yeah, body can be free, mind can be free, right? So that's what when I get in with the guy, I'm trying to figure out the way their mind operates mostly, right? Because that's going to come out through the body. So, it's funny when you can have a guy look like the best player in the world one day and the next, just totally out of it, right? And where does that come from? Is it the body or the mind? And I think
you can go. I've seen guys 1 round look unbelievable, 2 rounds later look like they can't do anything, and trying to, as a coach, trying to get them to understand what got in the way of that, I think is the biggest asset we can give a kid.
Yeah,
because
what got in the way and then a way out, right? And that's where
have a plan.
Yeah.
And those plans, the tough part is there's not a lot of coaches that give them a plan, they give them a system.
Right.
And that's where I think finding someone, and there are other guys that have pro experience and are doing it. I mean, Braxton Martinez, I know, tremendous hitting guy down with the Rawlings Tigers. We talked to Aaron Jaworski last week. Go watch that one. But there are some guys, but I think trying to find, if you're an elite player, trying to find an elite coach, and there's only a handful of guys that can do it, seek out, find Nate's. Social media. They find you on social media?
Yeah, I got Instagram.
Oh, well,
It's
good.
like Nathan Orf 4 or something like that. Yeah, I'm on
Something
there.
like that. Well,
You can Google it, I'm sure. Ask Siri, she's smart.
or find me. I'm easier to find. I'll find Nate for you. But whoever it is, you have to find a coach. And obviously, at 6, 7, 8 years old, what they need, the foundation, to me, is just having fun, hitting the ball. Like mechanics, to a degree, are naturally going to come through just having fun. If you're just hitting over and over, you're going to create a swing.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you become aware of your swing, and then you can refine your swing. But I'm not a big fan at 6 years old of like breaking down mechanics of a swing, being like, you need to stand here, do this, do that, because who knows when strength, as you get stronger, your swing changes. As you develop, things change. At 6 years old, it's not the time, I don't think, to be like, do it this way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, one of the things I've been back into this world, especially the youth world, for I think this is really my second full year, right? So it's all been pretty new to me. And one thing from the start's I don't blame a parent or coach or a hitting coach in the youth level for maybe not doing something that I don't agree with, because I've seen best players in the world, some of the top coaches in the world, and it's very few people out there who truly understand it, right? So I think something that's important is really just knowing how hard it is and what you're trying to do. And I think if your goal is to help your team be better hitters, I think trying to teach them the way is probably the wrong way. And I think finding a way to get the best out of them, is really the job of a coach. And I think it's great to maybe have some cues that are helpful to them, but that typically isn't yelling or punishing for a mishit. One of my favorite things that comes up with youth is when, say they miss 4 or 5 in a row, and I don't say a word, and they hit the next one for a line drive, because I know that there's many people, coaches, out there that would be giving all kinds of advice and just helping these kids the snowball continue, and give a new mechanic adjustment that steals more freedom, right? And the thing goes on, and when really it's like, one of my favorite things is saying, all right, drive this one to center field.
Yes.
And it typically is going to help. And another one is, swing 120% on this one. Try to crush it. And they'll typically miss-hit the first 2, but it's at least aggressive. And you can peel that down a little bit and then get a little more control, better quality contact. And it's like, what mechanic did I change? Nothing. But getting the freedom of the mind for the body to operate at a more efficient clip is really the goal, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As I coached, it was always trying to get the image in their head of what they are trying to do and let their body do it. Like yelling mechanics in the middle of an at-bat or a pitch makes no sense to me, because then you're focused on the mechanic. You're not focused on the outcome that you want. And the outcome you want. The Inner Game of Tennis is a book that I read a long time ago on the mental side of things. Tim
Did
Galway.
I send that to you?
No.
Are you sure I didn't?
No, I read that one before. I read it when I was playing.
Yeah,
You were probably, I don't know, 5 when I was playing.
I don't even know if I was born yet. You're so old.
And we're done. No. No, if you have not, there's a lot of great mental performance books. Inner Game of Tennis to me is one of my favorites.
Yep.
The Mental Game of Baseball. Brian Cain, you've worked with Brian Cain a little bit, have you?
Yeah. Can we go back? Because I didn't know the Inner Game of Tennis thing. That was one of the foundational things that I was exposed to in college.
Yeah.
But
Self 1, Self 2.
Because you'll make fun of me now for making sound effects and
I do not make fun of him.
To help essentially just iron out timing,
I don't make fun of you.
Every once in a while.
I chuckle. I laugh more because my son understands your grunts. Like I would use a word and you just give it a rrr, and he's like, oh, rrr, and then all of a sudden, and I'm like,
and then he crushes it.
There's no making fun of. I appreciate your creativity and your communication style.
Yeah.
I use words.
Yeah.
You use sounds.
Caveman.
It works, language. And that's to go along with. a type of coaching for every kid. And what works for my son is how Nate communicates. There are other coaches that know what they're talking about, but the way they communicate doesn't fit the way he receives. And that's what, for anyone watching, any hitter, any pitcher, you have to find someone that you're able to understand what they're trying to get you to do, so you get a feel for it. Because until you feel what you're trying to do, you're not going to be able to repeat it. And more importantly, when that coach isn't standing next to your side, you can't self-correct. Like, there's this process of awareness. Like, you work with a hitter, they go to a game, they have a couple bad swings, they have to be able to reset without you being there. But you can give them the cues, you can give them what they need, but it's up to them to really be able to understand them and use them.
Yeah.
And that's where if you're going to a coach right now and not getting much out of them, find another coach. Like, I'm not saying that coach doesn't even know what they're saying. Like, I guarantee you, I've taught kids about hitting that are like, he knows nothing about hitting. And someone else I'll talk to and like, man, he's a great hitting coach. I don't know if they ever said great, but anyway, I had a foundation of hitting I was taught. I had some good hitting coaches. Like, Bobby Bonds was my hitting coach. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
His son was better, but I mean,
yeah.
But he was a grunt. Now that I think about it, he made more noises.
I
was just thinking about a session I had with him about outside pitch, and he was making noises and whatever. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I got that from one of my Dominican coaches that
that's because he didn't speak English.
He won hitting titles and
was he grunting, making noises, or speaking Spanish? Hitter. Was he speaking Spanish? You didn't understand? So
there's some grunts. There's some grunts at the point of contact.
It worked.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. Now, the mental performance, the last thing we're going to talk about, because the timer went off. Wow. I tell you, they put a timer up here, and it was up here earlier. There's no timer now, and I don't know where we're at. But we're going to do one more thing just because I think it's really important. Like, you can do swing mechanics all day, every day, and we've talked about kind of the mental side of things. When you get to the last thing I want to ask you about, because I have seen the benefits of it, how often do you talk about breathing within as a reset? Like, I know it's further down the path, but for me, what I've seen, the kids that are able to become aware and learn the importance of how to breathe and slow everything down is a very easy way to reset. Mm. Do you do much with that as you go through this, like the cues?
100%, right? And I took the breath work very serious as a player and trained it, and traveled the country finding the right people to help train me in that aspect.
You trained it, you just didn't do it. There's a difference between, hey, I need to relax and try to breathe now. Doesn't work. You have to train your body to do it. This is a process.
Yeah, and I learned everything the hard way, and that was another piece.
He does learn things the hard way.
Like you said, I got to work with Ken Ravizza, who's one of the best ever.
Who's the guy who trained Brian Cain?
Yeah,
for those that know Brian Cain.
Work under him and read their books and excuse me.
Oh, you're good.
The old cold. But the hard way of implementing that, I would say, in the first year that I was like it works in the book, right? Heads Up Baseball, great book. Ken Ravizza book.
Read the book.
Yeah. It's like the book says to do this, step out, take a breath, look at the bat, whatever it is, right? And I'm like, well, I better do that if it's going to make me more consistent, right?
Yeah.
And quickly learned that's not the way, right? And the book is setting guidelines to these are things that you need to do to help you to get to your best, right? But then once you can kind of get to your best, then you need to play the game and be yourself and have that freedom in your player, right? So I see the mental game used appropriately, right? Is knowing the purpose of the breath and knowing that when you step out, doing one really quick exhale, inhale and exhale is actually going to raise your heart rate, right? So all the kids that are being yelled at to breathe and they get out and take a quick, a really high shoulder, upper body, stressful, quick inhale, exhale, you just made your heart rate go up a little more, right? It might bring you in the moment a little better just because it's almost distracting you from whatever previous thoughts you were having, right?
But it didn't slow down your body.
No. and rather than knowing the appropriate would be like almost double the exhale of whatever the inhale was, right? And getting a good exhale to relax the system a bit. And
for those who don't, exhale, slow down the heart. Inhale, speed up the heart.
Yeah.
So the guy yelling should be exhaling instead of yelling.
Yeah, he should probably breathe himself.
Or, here's a thought,
I would assume.
Don't yell at little children. Sorry, side note. I had flashbacks to many coaches on the side like, just hit the ball. Thanks. I was up here trying to miss. Throw strikes. Trying to walk them. I love those guys.
Yeah.
Actually, it's just not guys. See, I'm being a little sexist because there's a lot of moms that are a lot vocal. Stop it. Be nice to the children. Buy them a snow cone. Breathing is where we were.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think, back to, one of, I don't know, just try not to use names, but really good hitter. Again, proven himself at the college level already. And one of my first sessions with him, he starts to unravel as every hitter does, right? Things aren't going well. Snowball starts to unravel and steps out and he's adjusting his batting gloves and these stupid gloves and I
bad gloves.
Start walking towards him and it's not the gloves. Like what are you doing here? Like, I don't know. Well, you probably need a plan and a process to be able to get back to. And I'm like, that's the whole point of learning how to hit, right? Learning what you need is developing your own cues. And like the way I see myself is I'm there to help them again get to their best and learn the process that they're going to need to get there more often, right? So that when you step out, you're not blaming your batting gloves for the reason you just rolled over 5 in a row to the
You're not blaming the umpire, not blaming the weather, you're not blaming the sun.
Right.
Those are all uncontrollables.
Yep.
So, and I think we're going to wrap up here because now I do know it's been 51 minutes and 20 seconds in case you're counting. But the thing from Nate that you've heard all day, and I 100% buy into, that's why my son works with him, being free as an athlete brings success. Like, the thing that stops athletes from really having a high level of success is they get caught up in mechanics, they get caught up in all this other stuff, and it takes away from the freedom to just be who you are. Because when you're free and loose and confident, you're dangerous. When you're uptight, you're not going to have the same level of success.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing to do. That's why you need to find a hitting coach or find an infield pitching coach, whatever, that not just tells you or gives you baseball mechanics, but allows you to be free within what you do and gives you a plan. You're going to fail within baseball. You're going to walk people. You're going to strike out. You're going to do things. And if your hitting coach is only there to work on the mechanics or get your exit velo up or your launch angle wherever it needs to be, whatever. Like, those things have its place, but to me, the thing that's most important is to have a coach that teaches you about yourself, self-awareness, and giving you a plan moving forward so that you can be free and enjoy the game.
Yeah, I mean, how much time do we have?
You finish your thought there. Oh, we're good. I mean,
yeah.
Drew's just going to sit there and look at me for a while, but
nice.
I know the guy talking after us.
Well, I'd say a lot of coaches talk and trainers and hitting people, and if you're a parent of a kid, it's your responsibility. It's not just your responsibility to find the hitting guy that's going to help. It's your responsibility to kind of to see it this way. And obviously, everybody wants the best for their kid, is my understanding. So hopefully, if that's truly it, I challenge the parents of the kids to kind of do your research and pursue that process with your player, right? Which can be what's the conversation like before the game, after the game, after a bad game, right? Like, what's the car ride home look like? And to me, that's the stuff that matters. And I don't think that parents should be kind of, and I don't know if they are or not, that they shouldn't be off the hook because or assume that somebody else is going to come teach their child the right way, right? And I think like something people might not understand is like in the big leagues, right, or even professional. Like, I would show up to the field at 12:30 for a 7:00 game, and the preparation starts, right? And that preparation is really, say before that on nutrition, whatever. But so really you have a full day buildup of a process that's going to help me be at my absolute best for that 7 o'clock first pitch, right?
Yeah.
And then be sharp for the next 3 hours, right? So the process is long and is daunting in that world. You play so many games, right? But just kind of the amount of work and preparation that goes into it and process to have nailed down. And then in this world, right, you take Billy to the ball game, and then he strikes out 3 times and gets yelled at. Like,
no snow cone for Billy.
I think Billy deserves it.
Yes.
He just kind of showed up and got yelled at, and probably knew he was going to get yelled at when the game ended, right? So
that's probably why he struck out 3 times.
Yeah, I think there's responsibility on everyone, players included, right? To kind of know what the priority is, and I would love to see a world in sports and baseball, and including the major league level, that absolutely prioritizes winning again, and because that's going to be more fulfilling. I think if ratings wise, whatever, fans are going to want to watch teams win and compete harder. So
it's a better play. It's more fun to watch than people going there striking out just trying to hit home runs.
Yeah,
like mix in a bunt for those anti-bunters. I'm not one of those guys.
Not at all.
No, bunting's part of the game.
Yeah, best bunting guy I ever saw. That's
there you go. Close. So if you need bunting lessons, I'm here. If you need hitting lessons, if you need pitching lessons, it's not us. Although I hear good things about premier pitching.
That'd be Brett Graves down the road.
So,
one other thing that popped up, because I have a passion for this, right? I got to live a fun journey with it, right? Play till I'm 30. And at the end of the day, the reality of it is the farther I get out, the more I can see what I missed on, right? And the things that could have taken me to the next level, and that makes it kind of fun. And you get to see, that some of the good things that I did, I hit really well. Like, that's fun to see from.
You did a lot of things really, really well.
Yeah. So it's fun to get out and now be back into the game and get to see it from a full different angle, right? One of the things you kind of talked about was getting players and the freedom, right? Pursuing freedom. So, there's some players that I've had and helped, coach where really the first month is essentially, the way I see it, just peeling layers of stress and anxiety off of their bodies. So so that they can get the barrel to the ball, right? And so it's sometimes, and that's where I'm like, if you're a parent, like, take some responsibility in your child's performance as well, and what can you do to take some of that stress, anxiety off, and the goal is to get them to their best, right? Well, the stress, anxiety, fear is gonna come out through their body, and stepping out's the biggest thing I saw last year, and my really first full year in youth. Like, at all ages, it rises up, right? Is a kid truly afraid to get hit? I don't know. Is it a mental thing? 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And it's like, is yelling at him going to help with that? And is the conversation after the game having any impact in any of this? And to me, I think, again, parents have responsibility in this, and I don't know that they always feel they do. And I think the proper way, right, is letting each player be their best, right, which is going to look drastically different per player, right? And I also think it's important to know how many players don't make it to the major leagues or professional.
Almost all.
Right. So, like, where's the priority? And
that's we talk about, like, what is your why? Why are you doing this all the time? And I think, I know Nate's passion. I've seen it be him in those situations, but baseball's a game. It's supposed to be fun. The more fun that kids have, the more fun that winning's fun. Like, we're talking about baseball. It's a wonderful thing, but at the same time, keep in perspective. Like, yelling at your kid on the way home because he struck out, when really that's an opportunity to connect with your son because he failed. And that sort of support is what he's going to need throughout his life of, hey, I didn't get this job, or I didn't get an A on this test. Them knowing that you're going to care about them and take care of them when they fail is the greatest gift you can give to them, not baseball. So We have a lot of things that I would love for you to come back and talk about. We didn't get to a lot of the things. I never do. I write like 30 things. We get to 2.
Yeah, figured that would happen.
It happens. But
Yeah.
hopefully you'll come back.
You got better with your filler words as we went on there.
The beginning was rough.
Yeah,
you know?
slow start.
It happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes you strike out the first inning and then you bounce back. But Nate will be back. If you need anything as far as hitting, you can reach out, find him. Bunting, find me, or Premier Baseball back there. So, like I said earlier, Nate's 2008 graduate on the best team Francis Howell's ever had. 2011, I would put maybe 2nd or 3rd place, but I can discuss that.
It's mostly about winning, but not all about winning. And
No.
that's the only thing we didn't do that year is win the whole thing, So
32-3 is a really good year.
that's the piece that's not about winning.
No, I'm most talented team, 2008, best team, 08, but we'll debate that some other time. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.